and he left before. It says the broadcast is live, but Mark Bellata is on it with it. Mark, thanks for arranging this. Mark is our social media manager, but that's really not enough. I mean, he does a lot at OutSystems, mostly trying to get us all to be on here to share what's going on. So Mark, thanks for being on. Can people hear you?
I like to think so.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do, because we had a long conversation. Here for people just coming in. Thank you. Welcome to the after party. It's the OutSystems NextStep after party. In case you, I don't know what else this would be. Looking at this group here, well, I don't know what you think you happened upon on LinkedIn. Why you've chosen to join us tonight. Anyway, Mark was going to count us down to let us know when we're live. And we had some challenges yesterday because there was a discussion, should we be 0-based, 1-based? And it didn't matter because Mark, if you could count us down the way you counted us down tonight, and then we'll go live.
So without putting myself on the stream, I was saying 3, 2, and then I cut the feed altogether so that I would be removed from the picture. But this time I'm staying on the picture so everybody else can see, but just not saying anything.
Except do the 3, yeah. And we weren't sure if it was 3, 2, 1, 0. That was
we just
0.
We just assume it's broken at that point because it's gone quiet and you vanished. That's the natural assumption. Oh no, it broke.
Something
right.
The demo is broken. All right, Mark. Thank you. I think we're in and we're live now. Thanks for the 3 people. Now 700 people joining us tonight. I can see the counter here. Miguel is happy. I am Neil Charney. I work in the wonderful marketing organization of OutSystems and have asked a couple of people to join me tonight to share in some of the highlights of the second day, but I'll have them do 2 things if that's okay. First of all, welcome everyone, and we will try and track any questions that are coming on. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to ask the folks to introduce themselves, and here's what I'll ask. Introduce yourselves. How long have you been in OutSystems? What have you done there? But also, couple of the high points over your last 2 days that you want to call out, and any of the low points, if there was anything surprising or funny, but mostly it was interesting because I'd encourage folks who didn't get a chance to do everything to go back and check out some of the things we're talking about tonight. So Miguel Lopez, we'll start with you.
Well, first of all, having a lot of fun because it's very different than being in a live environment, but it still has a lot of energy with all the comments and the sharing. So yeah, Miguel Lopes with OutSystems for the last 7 years, pretty much, heading researching customers and market in terms of understanding what should we do to better improve the situation of our customers. And pleased to have been many times joining Mike and others in doing this series with customer stories becoming real life, like we presented these few days, which are for me the most satisfying situations. That's the best. So Mikey, maybe over to you.
Yes.
Mikey, did you just call him Mikey? Did you just call him Mikey?
Nobody says that. Come on now. Let's be respectful.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, Miguel, sorry. Before you start, Miguel, where are you dialing in from?
Oh, I'm calling it from Lisbon, in Portugal.
Lisbon, Portugal. Okay. And what time is it right now?
It's about 9 p.m. It's a good time.
So, Mike, where are you calling in from?
I am calling in from Texas. It is 3 p.m. in Texas. British guy in Texas, so it's tea time. That's what it is in Texas. It's always tea time.
There's a song about that, I think. It's tea time in Texas.
Tea for 2. So 5 years now, almost 5 years at OutSystems, a few different roles. I've worked closely with partners, see a few of our awesome partners on here. Went on to the marketing side about 4 years ago, which is actually my first foray into marketing. I've always been a tech guy, but I like it. Actually, I feel closer to the technology. I feel like I'm a lot more impactful in terms of kind of what's going on with our product. And as part of that, I get to talk to awesome customers. We have an advisory council, some of our great, long-time customers. I see one of our alumni on, Eduardo. How you doing? Good to have you on today. Thanks for joining us. Love to have those interaction points with our awesome customers and partners. I'm spoiled.
Hey, Mark, you're still here, so I'm going to ask you. You're relatively new.
The happen to be sitting here.
No, Mark, how long have you been OutSystems? what's been cool for you about this event?
Yeah. I mean, so I've been at OutSystems for just about a year now. We're rounding out to about a year in a couple of months. And I'm based here just north of Boston. So shout out for the Massachusetts crew that's here. So I'll say that I think one of the coolest things about NextStep today that I really liked is, there was some great stuff from Paul Vincent earlier today talking about the composable enterprise. But more in particular, I really thought that what Leland Melvin delivered was really inspiring stuff. And it's not just, for me, it's not just the story that he told and the fact that he had to go through his life's journey to be able to accomplish all of these special things, but it's all the bumps along the way that he kind of encountered. He had to overcome them. There were a lot of things and a lot of people telling him, no, you couldn't, or, this isn't going to work, or whatever it is, but he was able to rise up and overcome those things. That was really just some pretty empowering stuff. And for anybody who wants to check it out, it's going to be available on demand, quick plug. And also there are a couple of clips on social that we put out, a couple of videos that you can check out on our Twitter and LinkedIn feeds.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. And I'll introduce myself, Neil Charney, calling in from London, live from London. Same time zone as Lisbon, super helpful. Originally from Seattle, which has been experiencing the smoke of the West Coast. I hope everybody's safer today over there. And I'll double down on what you just said, Mark, about Leland Melvin's talk. It's really worth a listen if folks can get it. You can get it on demand now. But he had a couple of points that I thought were so cogent. He described us all as earthonauts. I think Melissa, who did a great job interviewing, said, "What's it like to be an astronaut flying around, in space so quickly?" And he said, "Well, in some ways, that's what we're all doing. We're on this planet that's hurling around the sun. We're earthonauts." He called us earthonauts, and he talked about the orbital perspective. He said, this is a thing. When you go out into space, you realize it's just one world. The world is, the world's not fragile. We're fragile. He said the world will survive and it will go on. We're the ones who are fragile. And that perspective is brought to you with this orbital perspective. And it was just a fascinating conversation. Mildly annoying that a person can be a professional football player and an astronaut and really nice and writing a children's book. Now it's like, all right. But in all seriousness, a great perspective, talked about innovation and talked about technology in a way that I have to say, I've been at OutSystems since pretty much the beginning of the summer, I think, not long, but spent about 20 years at Microsoft and in the tech area. And the one thing I find in common in all of the areas that people are involved in technology is this idea that we're contributing to something really different, really good. It's an opportunity to change the world. And you see that in a lot of people's mission statements, and it sounds almost facile, but it's that passion of creating something that can change people's lives is very much a part of what I've seen in the companies I've worked with. And I see it in OutSystems. And I'm really happy to have Mike and Miguel here to talk about what they're going to talk about today, because both of these people actually work incredibly closely with customers. And if you've ever worked in a tech company, you realize you're nothing unless you're listening to the customers. And most of them are developers, and a lot of them are all of them are incredibly honest and open about how they feel about things. And if you don't listen to them, you're not delivering the right product. So I'm really happy. I think the theme of tonight, in addition to the fact that we're all together in this strange and virtual way, is sort of learning about what's changed and how are we all adapting to it. And in some ways, places like Gartner have been looking at changes in organizations, the way people work together, and that's what Miguel, I want to talk to you a little bit about first, and then we're going to talk to Mike about customers who are actually experiencing it on that day-to-day level. But Gartner really does spend a lot of time talking to customers and hearing what they're doing, what they're thinking about. And so I'm going to start with you, Miguel, a little bit. Paul Vincent from Gartner did a very interesting talk about a variety of elements. I'd like you to share a little bit about your takeaways from that, and give for folks who haven't seen it a quick synopsis of what he did, and they can come see it for themselves. But I'll turn it over to you.
That's great. In fact, I will make some comments to the comments we are getting, because some people are actually asking, hey, can we get that to check on demand later? And that's an important remark. For that particular session, you cannot after 2 weeks, but you can right now. So that's important. In the case of Gartner, it's a special, agreement that we have apart from our customers and partners session. So yeah, if you're anybody who's interested in checking the, perspectives of evolution of future of application development, you should make sure you're registered and you check in the next 14 days, or else it's gone. So it's good to have that tip. But it's fascinating, guys. It's fascinating. I mean, me and some of the folks at product management, Andrej, Rosina, many of the others that have worked through the years through the evolutions of customers dealing with the changes in their teams and organizations can relate to some of the future we're projecting. So back some years ago, we were still debating, oh my God, can you have like cloud-based development? And what does that mean? And is it high control or high productivity or whatever, like some of these analyst claims? But the thing that is interesting here is how now you see a reality of, especially in a post-COVID world and with everything we are, experiencing in around the planet, is the pace of change. Is the most incredible statement I hear is, it was not the CIO, it was not the CDO, it was not the CTO that did digital transformation go really fast. It was COVID and turning around the heads and mentality of people in how they look at the problems. And, oh no, this is the way it always has been done. And software development life cycles have these stages and it always follows these things. Well, guess what? Some things do change. And so Paul Vincent's session is very interesting because, to your point, Neil, this year it was even more intense in terms of the volume of inquiries they were getting. How do I cope with this? How my team is developing from home. My developers cannot go on the whiteboard together. How do they run a Scrum? Remote.
Right.
All of this, and yet the thing you heard the most, for example, we had customers in university. Example, a customer of ours that was saying, I never had so many calls from my peer networking group of people calling me and saying how we were turning around things so quickly because they were already at a new level. And so what the presentation from Paul included was a projection as to where is this headed? Where is this future of application development beyond just this cycle of, is it just rapid building an application? No, it's beyond that. It's how will we be able as enterprises to be in a world where as a company or an organization, you have the core competency to turn around faster the ideas into, digital services, products and whatnot, but doing it in a collaborative way, in product ownership teams, and actually reusing some pre-built capabilities. Maybe you've done, payment for shopping carts and payment methods, and you're reusing some of those things in ways that not only give new experiences to the customers, but very importantly, what's broken typically is inside the enterprise, is how do you in accounts payable and me in shipping and receiving have a different experience for the work I have to do remotely, digital and everything. And that's what Paul Vincent was illustrating, is this evolution of how much simpler it will be. And there's an interesting analogy, actually he did not present, but I can share, which is they many times see this as almost that analogy of how we evolved from the digital from the tapes into the CDs and into the listening to music just on, basically the Spotify model of lists of things, and imagining what will be our set of experiences as people in the enterprises with this type of atomized experience for just my work, my function in an organization.
I think it was, what was interesting was pairing the stuff that Gonzalo talked how's that for good collection things. What Gonzalo was talking about yesterday about our builders and the idea of bringing other people into the process. And Miguel, you and I have talked about this, about that shift from, IT as building applications to a more product-oriented view, that those of us who work in software companies understand that technology isn't just built by the engineers. It's a collaborative effort across a variety of teams. Marketing that has optics into what's going on out there. designers who are doing all of these things. I thought that was an interesting point and element of some of the composable enterprise too.
Totally agree. I think the number one revolution people are experiencing is that the organizations that either is for profit or non-profit have a mindset of customer centricity. We're serving, there were public services like Worcestershire in the UK, or there are good money making enterprises that just adopt a mindset that says you have a group of people that are responsible for this service. You guys own it from the marketing to the technicalities, and you have to iterate, understand user adoption, transform it, and keep improving. So it's not a one-off. It's not a quick and dirty, simple app sheet import. No, it's a product mindset, and that requires teams of people, whether it's a one pizza team or a two pizza team, and iterate and improve with feedback. And that's what's going to be most transforming in the next few years, I think.
And I think that's a really interesting element of some of the builders we're bringing in that bring other people into that process, whether or not it's the design or the workflow, and being able to leverage the capabilities of other people across the organization. But the other point of applications as being this very much living thing, it's not a release and wait and update. The paradigm shift that's happened, I'll use the elite kind of things of whether or not it's Peloton or Tesla, like updating your products are now one of the most important things you can do. If it's a banking app that you're using and it's lacking the ability to take a picture and deliver it, that's a problem. So as a competitive, when we talk about innovation, either innovation at the edge or innovation through software, is how quickly can you keep that piece of software that you pushed out there that's in your customer's hands, right? That you couldn't get closer to a customer. They have it in their hands. Yeah. How are you showing that you're relevant and interesting? And so I'll switch now to talk about customers who are doing that. Because Mike, I think you got a chance. I'll say you didn't just get a chance to hear from the customers. You've been working with these folks for a while. I want to hear your thoughts on some of the interesting takeaways, but also relating to some of the things we've been talking about as well.
Yeah, no, I'm spoiled. I spent probably the last 3-4 months working with 18 plus customers, and in some cases their partners, right? And we were able to showcase them over the last couple of days. Some common themes, right? The pandemic has affected everybody, right? We have customers speaking from all over the world, from the Philippines to South Africa to Europe, you name it, right? In the US, every corner of the world was exposed in one way or another. And clearly everybody has been impacted, right? Everybody is having to deal with work from home. Everybody is having to innovate. But some amazing stories coming out. A few standouts for me, it was amusing speaking to Richard Tanaka from Randstad. They very, very smartly ordered 200 laptops, right? As they saw kind of what was coming, right? They've been through a few pandemics before, right? They're over there, and Japan has been through this before. So they were kind of seeing the writing on the wall, went and bought 200 laptops. People were on trains with extra monitors. So a very visual way of picturing what's going on. I thought that was kind of interesting. A lot of customers really focused on helping and giving back. A couple of standouts there, UBT with Rapid Release Team in Australia. So Mark McWilliams and Brittany Chalmers built an app. Basically, they created Uber Eats in 12 weeks. Right, that app that was millions and millions of dollars. Uber should have just used the OutSystems platform, right? In 12 weeks, they could have done it. It wouldn't have been that big of a deal.
It wasn't the actual Uber Eats app, I should clarify.
They recreated something like it. It was with a different purpose, maybe a higher cause, right? So Uber Eats type application. It was basically to deliver food packages to those in need, right? A huge surge in families, over 4,000 families that they're caring for, sending food packages. They built an app that allowed volunteers to pick up food packages. They contain 2 days worth of food, right? So these are imperative. Australia was hit hard. So the great give back to the community. We had Life Healthcare just this morning, I think, if I'm not getting my days mixed up, creating a COVID tracking application. This was Alistair Peterson in South Africa. Like I said, people from all over the world participating over the last 2 days. So I'm all hopped up. It's not tea today. I'm just excited. High on life. They built a COVID app, and what I found was really interesting is they were basically using a PWA approach, progressive web application approach, right? Technology we showcased last NextStep. Now we're seeing it in action. It's actually being used, and it was interesting there. And I didn't realize this until we had this conversation, that actually Apple didn't allow apps that were designed to respond to COVID to be put into the app stores, right, for a period of time. So if you were trying to help and you were trying to build a mobile app and put it into the stores, both stores, same for Google Android, right? They were locked down. You couldn't do that. So PWA became the channel, right? The way to enable the workforce, to enable customers, the patients, to be able to get safe service, right? So really interesting to hear some of these stories and how using technology. Of course, it's people, process, and technology, right? It's not just technology, but the stories were fascinating and obviously everybody impacted. Very interesting.
Yeah, that was actually one of the most interesting things that you had surfaced that I'd heard. I'm also, while you're talking, trying to see if there are any questions surfacing. There's a few things to know. Lots of updates on where the smoke is going.
Very important. It's not in Texas.
Yeah. Well, there's an interesting. Somebody just mentioned Jade. I hope it's okay, about how it would have been a flight to get around the world to come to this. And so I want to actually talk in the last little bit of time we have. This is a fascinating thing. Well, this is mildly related. Realizing today that snow days are no longer something that will happen again. Like, there are small things that will shift in ways that we have no idea. Things from my childhood. If there's a snow day, that's great. Think about the infrastructure that's been set up. There's no snow days anymore because you can always snap together a virtual classroom with pluses and minuses. We're now having a virtual conference. Now, I miss, let me just tell you, if we were throwing an after party, folks, I would have been hanging with these guys. Mark, I don't know. I mean, you're kind of in your place. You got a lot of tech over there.
I mean, this is vodka? No, never mind.
But I will say, I miss coming to these events because of that personal interactions, the happenstance, the accidental going to a session you weren't going to go to. But I have to say, there's also something to be said for enabling these kinds of conversations. They don't have to happen once a year. They don't have to have an impact on the carbon footprint. There's an enormous savings that happens from doing this. And I know there are a lot of negatives, but the positives, for me, I'll just say, I'm hoping that we're able to take this, the good out of what's been going on right now, and move it forward. So I don't know, any of you guys. Mark, you look like you got.
Yeah, I don't think that there's anything that you can really do to replace a live event, because there's something special that happens on the ground there. A lot of times you're catching up with a lot of familiar friends and other people who you might not have seen from other places. So it's really, a great way to see your friends once or twice a year. And it's also, it's great to be able to see all of the newness, and everyone is experiencing all of these things together, which is a really cool thing. I think the difference is when it comes to just looking at things virtually. I'm just looking in some of the comments here, and I think there's a really good point here by Annalise, the fact that, a lot of people wouldn't have the chance to attend an event like NextStep, in even a normal situation. So if we can do something to bring NextStep to the people, like we've been able to do on the virtual side here, plus, things like this after party, I think that's a win-win too. So it's a bit of a trade-off, but I think you can take positives either way.
I think I'm in a take positives mood. There's an element of it. Not to dismiss or minimize any of the challenges that people are having, but if we can pull from these times things that connect people, I like to focus on them a little bit. But Miguel, any takeaways on that?
Just that is happening right now as we speak. The amount of exchanges I see in these comments, for example, on people that are in the community and are asking for ideas from what they have done in one project to the other, and exchanges of experiences, right there proves a bit of your point. It's just that there's another level. We lack some of that human energy that would be physically there, but the connection of people that are tackling similar problems, facing how do we tackle this change in mindset in the organization? How did we actually implement it quickly? How did it make an impact? It's just happening right here. We see several of the MVPs and others exchanging between them in real time. And I think that's fascinating, because there are moments where it triggers beyond the demo or the technology. So I think today, for example, even myself looking at Antonio Alegria's demonstration just immediately gave ideas of some customers that wanted to use that type of architecture advice at the new level and so on, that you want to connect the dots. And so I think another point to be made on virtual is maybe frequency. Maybe we can do these things more often than just once a year. So that may be something to think about.
Absolutely. Mike, thoughts?
I would say this is an opportunity too, right? We put together an event format that we thought would be good, right? We structured a different keynote, very different flow this year. We structured sessions in different ways. Send us your feedback. You know, we did what we thought would be good, right? After watching other events, but we're not perfect, right? We want to learn. We want to do it better. If there are other ways to engage, things you've done, things you've seen done well. We have teachers on the line here. Teachers know this stuff, right? I come from a family of teachers. Teachers are extremely smart and should be given the utmost respect. And they know a lot of these tricks, right? Because this is their day in, day out. So send us your feedback. Help us make it better. Tell us what we need to do differently. It's really important.
I think that's great. And I think if our next step can be to figure out how to make this something that's ongoing, that would be fantastic. Christopher, I don't know your last name, but did mention that we aren't giving away drink tickets or T-shirts. I've heard that a couple of times. We'll figure out how to bypass that. Here's what I'll say. I'll say, first of all, thank you, everybody, for spending time. I mean, we Zoom all day. We sit in front of the computer all day. Thank you for taking the time to do that and share here. My time with this company has been relatively brief, but enough to know that this is a company that is incredibly committed to customer success, developer success. So please share your thoughts with us, how we can keep doing this. That's how we get better, hopefully, and make others better. So Mark, thank you for setting this up. This has been great. Miguel, thanks for taking the time. I know you're listening to music.
Totally.
Our application awkward as hell during
the list.
I just asked you to come and be here, but you know, I know your music's important. Mike, again, claiming you're from Texas. It's cute, but at one point we're going to understand you're actually in Putney.
It's real, y'all. It's real.
And all of you, the most important part of this, thanks for coming, thanks for listening, and thanks for being a part of this. Make sure you go back and check out some of the things we talked about tonight, because they are they're what makes it all worth it. So thank you all, and have a great day. Be safe, be healthy, try and find the good where we can. Ciao.
Thanks for the call, guys. Real fun. Thank you.